good. But I think we're going to take it up a little higher, and we're going to clap our hands. Now, here we go. We clap our hands. We clap our hands. We clap our hands to give you the glory. We clap our hands. Clap our hands to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Tell me about it. Yes. We will praise you for the rest of our days. Well, that sounded pretty good, but I think we're going to all sing our song, right? You want to sing our song? We sing our song in the sanctuary. We sing our song to give you the glory. We sing our song to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. Jehovah, we give you the praise. Emmanuel, we lift up your name. Heavenly Spirit, living inside us. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. Hallelujah in the sanctuary. Oh yeah, that sounds good. Hallelujah, we give you the glory. Woo. Hallelujah, we give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. What? We will praise you for the rest of our days. Jehovah, we give you the praise. Emmanuel, we lift up your name. Heavenly Spirit, living inside us. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest. All right, soprano. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Come on, alto. Yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes, Lord, for the rest. All right, here comes the big one. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Everybody. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Take it up higher. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Hallelujah. 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 For the rest of our days. Hallelujah. 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 For the rest. Take it up higher now. Yes. 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 Yes, Lord. Yes. For the rest of our days. Yes. 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 Yes, Lord. For the rest of our days. Hallelujah. 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 For the rest of our days. Hallelujah. 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 For the rest of our days. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Lord. For the rest of our days. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Really well with Jerry singing in my ear.
She's fabulous.
I match that. Woof. So who would have believed we would get our choir on this thing? You know, we're going to put this down for a Monday miracle. The Monday miracle is they were on this platform. It was really wonderful. How many of you felt the yes? Did you, and kind of like, woof. And I felt it, and I was over there, and I felt at first service. And it just sort of was like a cleansing. It was like moved. I could feel it in my heart, the vibration. It felt like something was actually shaken loose and let go of. And that's why I wanted to see what it would feel like to just sing it and have them behind me. It was really quite
a lovely experience. I have a few things that I want to share with you. But first of all, do you see my readers over there? Great. Just in case I need them. No, I just need these. Thanks. I went to get my eyes examined because my contacts haven't been working that well. And I found out that I guess this is normal. Like, my eyes have gotten so much better that everything I have, it's not, just not working that well. So I went from 400 to 250. Isn't that great? Who knew? So, don't clap. What he says is all old people have that. So just, that's really what he said. He said, old people, their eyes get better. And I was putting it down to miracles and prayer, but oh no, it's just a thing. But I think actually, when you're over 60, something getting better, we deserve it. Really. Let's just. So, here's some interesting information, and it comes from, I love buying these things. Time Magazine and Newsweek keep putting out all this stuff about mindfulness. Why? Because the world needs a little, something that I was going to read later, but I'll just tell you now. People that troll, in a way, social media, just to see what's happening in society and where people are going and how they're feeling, said words like anxiety, depression, hopelessness, confusion, those kinds of words have increased since 2015 by 4 times. Big uptick and a little bit of anxiety. Uptick. So it's wonderful that magazines like this are putting out information and putting it right in front of where you check out and get your groceries and saying mindfulness, and I buy it every time. Even though I do think I have a mindfulness practice, it's nice to know what's being written about, and they have, what's good about these particular magazines is they have all of the research behind it. Now, besides it feels good and you'll feel better, there's actually research, including this. Here's the headline: Do religious people live longer? Thank you. That was the right answer. Do religious people live longer? The answer is yes. Having a spiritual life may have an unexpected benefit, which is longevity. If a long life is what you're after, going to church may be the answer to your prayers. A number of studies, that was well written. A number of studies have shown association between attending religious services and living a long life. One of the most comprehensive was published by the JAMA Internal Medicine magazine in 2016. It found that women who went to any kind of religious service more than once a week had 33% lower chance than their secular peers of dying during a 16-year period. Now, let's just talk about 33%. That would be a drug. If a drug got 33% success rate, they'd be selling it and there's no side effects. I know. Another study published by somebody else that I won't pronounce found that regular service attendance was linked to reductions in body stress responses and even mortality. So much so that worshipers were 55% less likely to die during a study of 18 years when they frequented temple, church, or a mosque. So it's not Christian, this is just worship services. And then they go into why that might happen. And they speculate. They don't know the answer. They do say that spiritual people who have a solo practice don't get the same results. So aren't you glad you're here? Really. It's just if people say, what do you do on Sunday morning? Just say, I'm taking a pill. Just take my medicine. Got to take a little bit of my medicine. So they don't speculate. They have no idea why it is that these statistics come through. I've read it this time. I've read it before. Other studies say the same thing. But I have an opinion, and I'm going to share it, which is what every spiritual person does. Every spiritual person, leader, they share their opinion. So yay. This is my opinion. We take in energy from each other. That's another study. And when you come to a place and you are surrounded by people whose energy is one of optimism and possibility, you're going to catch it. When you are surrounded by people whose vibration is of hope and courage, you're going to catch it. So you can come in and have life issues going on, but just being with people who are vibrating at a different level, it's not like a better level or a different level, it's just that it's a higher level, you'll actually be lifted. It feels good. And you can't put your finger on it, but it's going to have an effect on you that is not logical. That's why they can't figure out why this happens. It doesn't make sense. And it's so wonderful that you could go to a synagogue, a temple, a mosque, or a church, or what we just call ourselves, which is pre-brunch. and you're going to get the same effect. When you're around people who are looking for a higher idea, you will be caught up in that higher idea also, whatever that is. So that I just wanted to share that with you. I think it's important because, frankly, I want us to live long and prosper. Yeah, but that's not my talk. My talk, based on just the fact that I knew that we were going to have children in the service today, I wanted to come up with a kind of a interesting talk title, so I called it Hide and Seek. So have you ever played hide and seek? Have you played hide and seek? Do you know how to play hide and seek? How do you hide? Who hides? Everybody. You get very shy. I figure, I gotta be smaller. I gotta get in my link letter consciousness. Okay, have you ever played hide and seek? Have you ever hid? Have you found really good places to hide? Have you found like the best place to hide ever? You have? Like nobody could find you? Yes. That's when it's fun, isn't it? It's when you know that they're searching for you. And then you jump out and you say, guess what? You missed. That was so good. I love that. I love that. Actually, I have dreams sometime of hide and seek. It's so weird. I have dreams where I am finding the best place to hide. And you don't have those dreams? Those are the good dreams. The nightmare is I see myself coming up here and I don't have a talk. So it happened once, I lived it, and now I'm over it. So, but that's, so for all of you that have played hide and seek, and how many of you have children that played hide and seek? And see, I said children, and you raised your hands. Isn't that great? We are children. We're just, walking each other home. And so I want to tell you a story, and this particular story, I've heard the story many times, and I wanted to get it right, so I Googled it. And when I Googled it, they gave credit to this story being a Hindu story. I've always heard it as a Greek mythology story, but so, it must be a true story. It showed up in two different areas. It must be true. I mean, if you hear it from two people, must be true. So there was a time when human beings were gods and they knew they were gods, but they didn't use their power very wisely, and they didn't use their wisdom for the good of all. And so the great gods, which was Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, looked at this situation and said, I don't know if the earth is going to last. we've got to do something. So the Trinity, the Hindu Trinity, came up with an idea because they could change the nature of human beings. So what they decided to do is take their knowledge of their divinity away from them and hide it. And then they discussed where to put it. And Shiva, who likes to meditate on high mountains, said, let's go to a mountain, let's put it up on a mountain. And the other two gods said, oh, that's not going to work because, human beings, they love to go everywhere that's hard. And if you put it at the highest mountain, that's the only mountain they're going to want to go to. If it's hard to get to, they're going to climb it. They'll find it. So that was out of the question. And Vishnu, who loved to sit in long meditations in the forest, said, let's put it in the forest, really thick. Let's make it a really deep forest, and they won't go into it. And Brahma said, are you kidding? They're going to go anywhere that's hard to go. They love going into hard places. They'll go into the forest. We can't put it there. And then Brahma has an idea. I know where they'll never go. Pins and needles, everybody. And Brahma says where they'll never go is inside themselves. So let's hide the knowledge that they are God within themselves. And for sure, we've hidden it from them. So the idea of this hide and seek is that there is a part of us that is hidden from us, and we need to seek it. So if you are looking for love, faith, confidence, worthiness, security, most likely you have, like myself, been looking in all the wrong places. But that's not us, actually. We know we need to look there. It's just how do we do that? How do we search for that which is a hidden treasure and is the answer to a lot of our life issues? Individually, collectively, our life issues revolve around this idea that we've forgotten who we are, we've forgotten our power, we've forgotten our oneness with everything, we've forgotten that we are divine and that the earth is divine and that others are divine. We have forgotten. So to address that forgetfulness, there is a book written, the World Wisdom Bible. It was edited by Rami Shapiro, who's a rabbi that I read a lot. He took the great wisdom from the 6 major world religions and he combined them because often they are saying the same thing. And what he says when they say the same thing is called perennial. Actually, when I took philosophy, it's called perennial philosophy. He calls it perennial wisdom. But I love what he's addressing and what the gods were addressing, and whether it shows up in Greek mythology or it shows up in Hindu mythology, we do look for what we want in all the wrong places. Even our spirituality, we look in all the wrong places. First service, it occurred to me that after I was telling people that you've bought some books. How many of you bought, well, First Service bought books. How many of you bought lots of books to discover your divinity? How many of you bought a book? How many bought a tape program? How many, when they had tape programs? How many of you have online programs? How many of you have gone, and you've searched for the wisdom of the day in your weekly horoscope? How many went and had your cards done? Actually, there was a time I'm really good at it. I was like, do I become a minister or read tarot cards? I was really, it was a real temptation because if I read tarot cards, I could charge a lot of money and then kick you out. Now you pay what you will and I hope you return. It's really weird. But anyway, so here I was saying you bought all these books, and then I picked up this book and thought, we should sell this in the bookstore. But it is a culmination of some great wisdom from some great world religions. And I love Rabbi Shapiro because even though his path is to be a rabbi in the Jewish tradition, he knows that all traditions have wisdom that we can glean from. And I love that about his open-mindedness. I love that to read him. He's just so inclusive. So he says this, the world wisdom is rooted in one single idea. When we know the truth shall set us free. The truth we're talking about is called perennial wisdom. Perennial because it occurs in every civilization throughout recorded human history, and wisdom because it reveals the true nature of life and how best to live it. What perennial wisdom frees you from is the illusion of otherness that fuels the fear and alienation that drives so much of our ego-centered lives. And man, I see that in myself, and man, I see that in the world right now. The separation, the fear of other. And I don't think that people know that they're afraid of other. What it shows up like is, well, they're just other. I'm not afraid of them. I'm just not going to sit with them or talk to them or vote for them. Individually, I've noticed this recently in my own experience, just this lack of courage or the ability to speak up when I knew I should. Collectively, it is the state of our government where we are so polarized that that our politicians only vote along party lines. What? I did research yesterday, and I Googled, and I must not have Googled the right words. You know, if you got to get the words right to find the information you want. So somebody knows how to Google this, and I'd love for you to email me this, and I'll give the information next week. I am sure that in past, like probably decades, the Senate voted for Supreme Court justices, and it wasn't only on party lines. I'm sure that there was more give and take with that they were actually, it was much more non-partisan, but I can't find the proof of that. But I don't remember some of those justices, the ones that were like 20 years ago, as only on party lines. So somebody Google that and get it to me, and I'd love it. But it just seems like that's what's happening now. And it's like, wow, that's a wild thing to do when we're supposed to be going for someone totally impartial? Really? To find this inner treasure that the gods hid in us, we need to truly do some looking. And we need roadmaps, but they're not roadmaps like only go here. It's just like, here's the terrain, and if you go there, that's what you're going to run into. Religion, in the broad sense, is like language. It is a way for human beings to communicate an experience, but it's not the experience. Language can communicate an idea, but it's not the idea. DOG does not bark. And GOD does not save. Those are just concepts, and yet you can have an experience, and then we try to communicate it with others. And so that's what religions have done. They've tried to communicate an idea about finding that inner sense of divinity so that we can move past separation. Perennial wisdom is always to help us evaluate and reestablish a serene not evaluate, but discover and establish within ourselves a life more serene. So, Jesus said it this way: when you give rise to that which is within you will save you. Now, you may not have found that in the Bible before. That's because the gospel, according to Thomas, didn't fit in with somebody's plans. It was not canonized. It's got the best verses, though. If you give rise to that which is within you, that which is within you will save you. So I want to give you 3 ways to have that divinity rise up in you, to just have it rise up. The first way, I'm going to redo this from first service because it makes more sense this way. You have to look for the good and praise it, knowing that that's not knowing that the good does not negate that there's other stuff going on in a human being. Life is complex. Issues are complex. People are complex. We want to have everything be tidy. It's going to drive you crazy. Life isn't tidy. People aren't a thing, they're a bunch of things. If you had a big canvas up here and we painted it red or green or yellow or turquoise, it would be boring. But if you get a lot of stuff going on that canvas, it becomes exciting and interesting and intriguing and has depth, and that's every human being. So we have to look for the good because the good's there, but we have to do it in such a way that we don't negate that this is a complex human being. And I said, like bad, I used first service, I used the word bad, and because first service, I'm telling you, they are on their spiritual game. I saw eyebrows. We don't believe in bad. Okay, so unskilled behavior. We are born into the world and we can adopt unskilled behavior. How many of you are afraid to speak up with some of your family members? Just a few of you. Just a few of you? Like, what if they are of another political persuasion? Who's afraid to speak up? What if they think your children should be raised a certain way and you don't? Who speaks up? To see how it can get all complicated? That's an unskilled behavior because it's really skilled to be able to say to anybody at any time, this is my truth. You can take it or leave it, but I want to share with you what's going on for me. Do you see how we have to do that? Sometimes it's very difficult. We shy away from it. That's unskilled behavior. But just because you have an unskilled behavior doesn't mean that you also don't have some incredibly skilled behaviors. That we're complex. There's a lot going on. And the reason I want to get to this is that nobody can be pigeonholed. Somebody could be a really good judge and they still were inappropriate when they were in high school. Do you see that? But it's like, well, if he's such a good judge, he had to be appropriate all the time. What? Are you kidding me? If you knew me in my 20s. That's why people in high school find it very hard to know I'm a minister. And they go, is that Kathy? Is that Kathy Stonesifer? Really? We're complex. We are complex. We can have a lot going on and still be spiritual beings. We can have a lot going on, but we have to understand that we're not going to know the divine if we can't understand that the divine is hidden within everybody, but everybody's really a mixed bag. And I say that to you because sometimes we want this spiritual life, and then we actually hold ourselves back because of what we've done or what we've said, or I didn't live up to my own expectations this week. Today, I did not live up to my own expectations. This morning, I did not live up to my own expectations. This morning, I got in a mild tiff with someone that I knew from high school on the internet. And I found myself being mad, and then when I looked beneath that, I found myself sad that some of this conversation was still going on. And I was disappointed in myself that I couldn't spring into holiness. And for at least 5 minutes. Do you see we're complex? We have to know that so that we can do the next thing, which is to call forth within ourselves our spiritual vision. Because a lot's going on, and yet there's something spiritual going on. In Hindu tradition, it says that that we were given two human eyes with which to see the world, and an eye divine to see the pattern behind the world. And we activate that mind. Now, I shouldn't say that mind. Well, they also said there's a mind that is unborn within us that works through our human mind. But this is the eye divine. We activate that eye divine by simply looking up. It's just so simple. How many of you have a story going on that about yourself or others? How many of you have a story going on about them? You are so much more truthful than first service. Either you are more truthful or they are about to transcend into another realm of existence. Because they refuse to raise their hands. Don't they, Beverly? It's like, and then they don't even raise their hands. They kind of like in the back. So crazy. Do you know the truth heals? So just raise your hand. So if you have a story, okay, so I want you to let go of the story. So you're going to we're going to let go of the story. So just become calm. And I notice you're not doing it, but first service, they immediately close their eyes. Now, here's the deal. You close your eyes and you get comfortable and the story shuts up, but it's really cuddled up against you. The story, you get warm and cozy and it goes, oh, we love these times of silence. And it just hugs you. Hello. You open your eyes, it's still there. Hi. We need to have another story. But I don't want to fight with the story. I want the story to disappear back into the nothingness from which it came. So take your story and look up right about there where those panels meet the wall, and just breathe and relax and look up. And keep looking up, just look up. So you're not closing yourself off, you're not making this cocoon inside yourself, you're actually activating, by doing this, you're activating that third eye, the eye divine. And most likely, some of you will start seeing the story in a new way, even if this story exists. Some of you, the story is not just, it goes away. There's no story. It's not sitting next to you. It's not waiting for you to open your eyes. It's just gone. How many of you noticed the story started to disappear? Just a few of you? It's worth it. If we save that many people, it's a good drug. It starts to disappear. The more you practice this, the more you'll see what's behind everything. And you'll actually start to have ecstatic experiences. One time I had this, I was driving when we lived on Magnolia, I was driving from Magnolia to Sandpoint, and I was going under a bridge. I didn't see a bridge. I saw divine intelligence working through human ingenuity to solve a problem of going from one place to the other. All I saw was divine ideas showing up in form. It was like, wow! It didn't last long, but it was nice. And I can't convey that to you because all I can do is tell you what I experienced, but when you experience yourself, it's like so wonderful. So expansive. People take drugs for that experience. And you could do it by looking up. Another benefit of spirituality. Number 2. After you have allowed yourself to say, you know what, I want a bigger idea. I want a bigger idea. I want a bigger idea. What I realized when I was looking up and wanting a bigger idea about what's going on in the world is that people are so afraid of giving up the way they thought the world was. They're hanging on tooth and nail. They're afraid. It's been this way. We liked it this way. Does it have to change? Most likely. And so I pray for myself to be more compassionate, and I pray that there's less fear in the world. Number 2, your self-talk. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the way you describe things, it becomes the way it will be. So watch how you describe things. If you're stuck, say, I know that there's a solution, I know there's an answer, this too shall pass. If you've noticed that by getting a larger vision of the world, that there is fear in the world, I am an antidote to fear. I'm an antidote to fear. I show up as love, I'm an antidote to fear. So see with your spiritual eye, speak as though your word were law unto the lost. Speak as though it meant something. Because it does. What do you talk about? And do you really want to see it next week? Or would you like to change things? One of the things that I do when I get afraid or worried or upset is I have a chant go off in my head, like there's only God, or only God is real, or only love is real. Until all of a sudden only God is real and only love is real. And I might be deceiving myself, but if that's true, it's a fabulous deception. Because my energy goes up, my attitude goes up, and I'm nicer to be around. You don't want to be around me when I'm in a bad mood. The third step is contribute, contribute, contribute. I'm going to do a workshop that was inspired by my trip to Ireland. And there I read a lot and was impressed with the idea of being blessed by the four directions. But what I learned is that you can't be blessed by the four directions, at least in Celtic spirituality, without taking that blessing and then giving it out. Because you can only take so much, and the only way to get more is to give it out. So you might take in inspiration, but then you need to give it out in a creative way. You can take in wisdom, but then you need to give counsel to others. You always need to be giving. So if you're good at something, are you helping others be good at it also? If you have been a good parent, can you coach other parents? If you overcame an issue, can you help someone else overcome that issue? Hopefully someday it will be easier for us to talk about the things that were painful and hurtful so that we can reach out and help those people who are in pain and hurting. There's sometimes still a stigma that says, I don't want to talk about this because I don't want to relive it. Somebody's living it. And you talking about it might be just the thing that they need to realize that they too can get through it. That's how the 12-step program has expanded all over the world. People just said, this is what's going on for me, and I got through it, and maybe you can too. And I think the world has a bigger addiction than drugs and processes and other things. We have an addiction to looking good. We have an addiction to being right. Well, I'm Kathy Ann Lewis, and I can be really screwed up. And I let myself down a lot. But it's so amazing that when I turn to that which is the spiritual part of me, the screw-ups just don't matter that much. There was a Jewish scribe known as Joshua who said, "Do not stay silent when speech is called for, nor abandon the world to hide in your spirituality." The world needs spiritual chatterboxes. that go around and say, you know what, I went through that too, and I think I could share something with you that might help. I want to leave you with this, and this comes from Jesus, once again, the Gospel according to Thomas. Seekers shall not stop until they find, and when they find, they shall be disturbed. I love this. This is why they took it out of the Bible. No, it can't be disturbing. I'll tell you why it's disturbing. When you seek, you're going to go inside and you're going to find stuff you didn't want to see. You're going to see how you contribute to the mess. It's disturbing. It's disturbing for me to know that sometimes I don't live up to my own expectations. It'd be so much better to just la and pray about it, or, I'm just it's crazy. After having been disturbed, they will be astonished. Oh my goodness, it's all interconnected. Oh my goodness, if I change, I contributed to change. Oh my goodness, my consciousness affects other people. Oh my goodness, what I heal helps the healing of others. Oh my goodness. And then it goes on to say, then they will reign over everything, including their world. God bless us, everyone.